Hey guys, Robbie K coming at you with another beautiful night and another potential to do movie reviews. That's right, I'm back coming in at you with not one but two, and tonight we take on, I guess, two diverse movies. So let's go ahead and just cut the chit chat and get to what we're looking for. Welcome to Robbie's Movie Reviews. If you're new to the game, we essentially do a quick and dirty movie review after talking about the trailers. Again, no spoilers. And then throw in, of course, the finale of kind of some likes and dislikes if you like a little bit of, more of your details into the reviews. Now, the first movie tonight is something called After, based on a hit book that seems to be about the latest in teenage drama and love. But, of course, you never know what's going to come in the world of romance, and that's where I'm going to come in and try to help you out. So, again, welcome to the movie review of After. Now, if you haven't seen the trailers or barely seen any of the trailers like yours truly did, essentially a girl goes to college, the world of plenty, the world of finding who you are and trying to figure out after having your first set of life. And sure enough, in that college, sometimes you discover things about yourself you never know. Well, of course, our main character decides to head out, and in doing so finds a whole new world that she never thought she would find, especially in the form of a man who could potentially be everything she's wanted and more. Sound familiar? Well, yeah, it's true. That's what a lot of romance movies do. But nevertheless, this one looks to have some artistic nature to it, probably a couple of good songs, and some heart. But what's in store? Well, that's where I come in. In terms of our quick and dirty review, here's part one of it. In terms of After, the movie actually does a fantastic job of showing young love, artistic nature, and always trying to figure out what is real and what isn't. Finding yourself. It's got a great message behind it. Focuses on essentially the elements of it, and all with that lovely package wrapped of what a lot of love is viewed as today. Maybe not so much by the modern, but just the modern audience, but by everybody. It's cute at times. It's very, very passionate, and it has got one heck of a soundtrack to kind of go off of it. But it still lacks in terms of predictability. The fact that it's not a carbon copy of the book means you've got some key details that would have been nice to be seen, and I think it was missing some of that component to really sell it out. Secondary characters are semi-used well, introduced at just the right times, yet not fully integrated or brought into the mix. Again, fully emphasizing what I think the director was going for. The movie's a good start, but read the book to get the rest of the details. It's okay. I don't think it quite deserves some of the scores that it took a hit with, but hey, that's just my opinion. So what do I give this movie overall? Well, in terms of its romance nature and drama, it's probably going to get about a 6.5 on my scale. In terms of movie overall, that's where it's probably going to take a hit and be around the 6 range for me, maybe a 5.5. Again, not awful, not even remotely awful, but not quite up to some of the legacies that we've seen in these romantic dramas, just in terms of needing a little bit more put-togetherness and bite. But hey, that's just my opinion. And if you would like to stick around to get a little more insight into why I gave it the score I did, then stick around. Otherwise, thanks for checking me out. Please, of course, like and help me make this better. And I'm more than happy to get some conversation going. So, if you're sticking around, here's the likes and the dislikes, starting with the likes first. After's likes first come in with a good chemistry of acting. And again, while I don't know the names off the top of my head since I got assigned this very quickly, I gotta give it that for a young cast, they've got this genre down pat. If they were going for a little more of that overdramatic style that many young roles require, they've got it down pat. Good chemistry, good balance, a good sort of rapport, and poking at each other. It feels very much like a relationships that I've seen in some of the high school, college friends that I have. In terms of just kind of the college life setting and a little bit of a dollop of realism, the movie again succeeds on that level. Nothing like a Nicholas Sparks movie and Hallmark where things magically happen and the world just magically falls into place. After actually takes that drama component and meshes it quite well in what's the terms of the real world kind of setting. Ups and downs, rough natures, discovery, things starting to fall apart and figure it out. I mean, it's actually quite an engaging tale, at least in terms of that. And I did appreciate the realism because I think it's going to resonate with a lot more people. Now, in regards to kind of some of the other things, you know, it's a cool college campus setting, so I think they nailed that well. You got the costumes and the lingo, which, yes, are nothing like some of the big-budget productions of Lord of the Rings, of essentially all those fantasy elements that just blow our mind away of taking our imaginations to life. But again, good form in terms of those who kind of collected the outfits and the styles in order to make essentially a wonderful, realistic portrayal of what I'm hoping would be the kind of the grunge look that I was going for. It's got heart to it. And it's got some good dialogue that builds upon this theme of finding the morals into it. Finding yourself, figuring out things that defy it, and beautiful artistic poetry in terms of a few monologues that I think are going to inspire the next round of whatever means of expressing yourself. So, you know, kudos to them on there. My favorite aspect has to be the use of the music and soundtrack. While I'm not the biggest in terms of alternative and indie, I gotta say that it was quite well done and utilized well with these covers to sort of, again, capture the mindset. Now, if you really don't care about that, then this like is not gonna be for you. But yours truly just absolutely loved that component of the movie film. And I just think that they ended up doing that part very well. Perfect? No, not by any means. But still, it was a nice portrayal and soiree of stuff. Now, in terms of the dislikes, where are we going from there? Well, it's simple. In terms of the dislikes, we start kind of with the predictability. Sadly, the art of originality and surprises, it can be very difficult to achieve when you see how much of this stuff is put out there left and right. In addition, you know, the movie is just not willing to kind of dive into the depths, which is, I think, why the predictability goes through it. I'm all about getting out of there at about a 2-hour rush, and the pace does work for me on levels. But at this point, when you're trying to take a book with a lot of, I think, character integration, it's going to require a little more in-depth solitude to figure it out. Now, in terms of digging all this stuff up, welcome to kind of my biggest thing. And I'm sorry, I'm jumping around. Let's kind of settle this back in. Again, a lot of these components could have been dealt with if we had dived a little more in. And I guess that's going to bring me to sort of the character development saga. It's okay. The main character in particular gets a wonderful display of sort of that transition, at least at the beginning, but soon falls victim to sort of that montage. Let's just get this kind of over with, etc., etc. And it's not bad, but it's just missing some of that finesse that I said earlier. If you put some of those components on there, you probably would have ended up having a sort of the last kicker and things like that. And I myself would have probably enjoyed it a little more if I dived into it. And this definitely goes with some of the secondary characters. After is, again, sort of a Romeo-Juliet-like atmosphere with two separate worlds being once again put to the balance in soiree. But the problem is that the secondary characters who were introduced and were supposedly going to be these people that have great influence are essentially sort of stuck in regards to just, I guess, good for a couple of lines and a good character development component. I myself was looking forward to a lot more integration with the roommate, with the first freshman friend she makes, and a couple of other components, including the mom. And I just think that they were skimmed over. And I guess that's where reading the book is going to give you more into that. But in terms of a movie, that's where it really fails. by not going down these avenues, as predictable as they are, you're kind of getting just a shallow skimming of what I think is a deeper tale. And again, in a character-heavy story like this one, you kind of need that in your movies. But hey, with the modern-day audience and looking more for that kind of dramatic mush that these scenes can be perfect on, which again, I'll give them, they executed those brilliantly, and while I'm not the biggest fan of those, I do give them props. But that focus, I think, is what lost the story component, and I think that's just where it needed to finish up. Anyway, overall, the movie is fine. The movie's going to be great for the target audience, who I believe I was sitting in on, in terms of the preteen love fans. It's got that kind of style and craze without diving too far out of the reality, but it still just needs a little bit of wrap up and tune up, primarily in terms of integrating those characters and actually making most of them more than just poster childs for Abercrombie College, Abercrombie and Fitch and Aeropostale sort of clothing and style. Again, overall, you've heard my score is probably about a 6.5 in terms of its category, while 5.5, 6 in terms of movie overall. Worth a trip to the theater? Maybe more so for the younger crowd when they're looking for that movie to go out as a group. But otherwise, this one's reserved better at home. Anyways, guys, this is Robbie heading out. I'll be posting the next one right after this, so stick around. But otherwise, thank you so much. Please like, share, help me make this better. And as always, I'll appreciate it. Thanks and have a good night.